Have you ever watched someone, or maybe you've actually been that person, who walks into a casino with a pretty small bankroll?
Oh, absolutely. We've all seen it.
Right, and they're just chasing this massive jackpot, putting it all on the line, and then they leave completely empty-handed like 20 minutes later.
20 minutes if they're lucky, honestly.
Yeah.
It's usually a really fast drain.
Yeah, exactly. Well, today we are doing a deep dive into a really fascinating, comprehensive guide. It's called The Ladder Strategy: Smart Bankroll Management for Casino Slots.
And the source material here is great because it wasn't written by some academic theorist. It was created by a former casino floor observer.
Right, someone who spent years just watching player behavior up close on the floor.
Exactly. And our mission today is to extract the tactical stuff, the math, and the psychology from those really rare players who actually walk away smiling.
Okay, let's unpack this, because right off the bat, I really want to frame this for you, the listener. This source is not selling some sort of get-rich-quick scheme, right?
No, not at all. The author is explicitly clear about that right from page 1.
It's actually this really fascinating study in extreme discipline. The goal is to take a small start, like 50, 100, or maybe $200, and give yourself a legitimate shot at bigger wins.
By entirely flipping the script on how the casino expects you to play.
Exactly. So how does this source approach that?
Well, the author frames it as building a staircase. The natural instinct for most people walking onto the floor is to take this massive, reckless leap for the grand prize immediately.
Right. They want the $1 million progressive right now.
Yeah, but this strategy completely dismantles that urge. It uses hard stops, highly specific machine selection, and just intense mental compartmentalization.
It really is applied critical thinking, isn't it?
It is. We're basically looking at what separates the systemic winners from the systemic losers on a cognitive level, because the casino is a highly engineered environment.
It really is. And before we get into the math or, the specific rungs of the staircase strategy, we have to talk about that environment.
Oh, for sure. You have to understand what you're up against.
When you step onto that casino floor, you are walking into a space that relies on a very specific set of behavioral expectations from you.
The source actually outlines the casino's optimal customer profile, and it is pretty stark. They want you to play fast.
Like minimizing the time between bets as much as possible.
Exactly. And they want you to chase your losses the second your bankroll dips. They want you to max bet every single spin on those flashy, high-sensory, progressive machines.
The ones with all the bells and whistles going off constantly.
Yeah. And ultimately, they just expect you to play until you are entirely broke. The whole environment is calibrated for that.
It's essentially an emotional pressure cooker, right? It's designed to trigger what gamblers call going on tilt.
Yes, going on tilt is the exact phrase.
And the source points out the physical symptoms of this, which is wild because it happens to almost everyone. You get this flush feeling in your chest.
Your shoulders get really tight.
Yeah, your breathing gets shallow, and there is this intense excitement that basically just borders on anxiety.
It's purely physical at that point.
It completely reminds me of the fight or flight response. Like, think about when you're in a high-stress meeting at work or an argument.
Oh, definitely.
Your body senses danger, and your heart rate spikes long before your logical brain catches up. Is this why the source insists on saying a phrase out loud to stop?
Yes. What's fascinating here is that the physical reaction is literally your amygdala taking over.
Yeah.
Your nervous system is flooding your body with adrenaline.
Because it thinks financial risk is actual physical danger.
Exactly. While the flashing lights keep you locked in this hypnotic loop. So verbalizing a stop cue, like the source says, if I feel heat in my chest, that's my cue to stop, forces a disruption.
Wow. So speaking out loud actually breaks the trance.
It does. Motor functions in speech require your prefrontal cortex to engage. That's the logical decision-making center. So by speaking out loud, you bridge the gap between that physiological warning system and your rational mind.
You're acknowledging the physical symptoms so you don't make a financial mistake.
Right. The author even noted they could spot players in trouble from 50 feet away just by their hunched, tense posture.
That makes total sense because your body and emotions will inevitably betray you in that space. So the strategy demands you build a fortress of rules before you even see the flashing lights.
You have to. The source calls it the 5-minute safety setup.
Let's get into that because step 1 is choosing your budget.
And it has to be an amount you can genuinely afford to basically light on fire. The source uses $100 as the example.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. You don't just take that $100 bill and shove it into the first machine.
No, absolutely not.
The rule is you split that $100 into two mental buckets. $60 is for your starter budget, and $40 is for your climb or your reserve.
This is a textbook example of mental accounting. It's a behavioral economics concept.
Right, because we don't treat all money equally, do we?
No, we don't. By splitting a single $100 into a $60 pile and a $40 pile, you're creating an artificial cognitive barrier.
Because if you just put 100 in, the friction to spend it all is zero.
Exactly. But separating it means breaking into that $40 reserve requires a conscious and frankly painful decision.
And the rule says you absolutely cannot touch that $40 until the starter money actually proves the strategy is working.
That is the strict rule. Which brings us to step 3, which is setting your walkaway points.
Okay, so what are the limits?
First, your absolute loss limit is the $100. That is a hard stop.
And the ATM is strictly off limits, right? The source literally calls it the beginning of the end.
Yes. The ATM is the ultimate surrender to the sunk cost fallacy. The floor workers saw people doing this all the time.
Just pulling out hundreds to win back a $50 loss.
Exactly. Once you walk to the ATM, you aren't playing to win anymore. You are just paying a premium to erase the psychological pain of losing.
That's a brutal way to look at it, but so true.
You also have to set a win goal, like, say, turning that 100 into 200 or 250, and a strict time limit, like 2 hours.
Because fatigue makes your decisions worse.
Rapidly worse, yes.
But wait, I have to push back slightly on the documentation part. The source actually tells you to take out your phone and physically type all this into your notes app.
They do, yes.
Like, today's session, $100 budget, 2-hour limit. I mean, does anyone actually do paperwork for a fun night out? It sounds a bit extreme.
It sounds extreme, but the former floor worker observed that the players who kept their money in organized physical envelopes, the ones making concrete contracts with themselves, were the ones smiling on the way out.
And the losers.
The losers just had crumpled bills in random pockets and no plan at all. Typing it into your phone is a form of cognitive offloading.
Because your working memory is totally hijacked by the casino environment.
Exactly. Your brain can't reliably hold on to vague boundaries like, I should probably stop soon. An external contract acts as a substitute prefrontal cortex.
Okay, I love that. A substitute prefrontal cortex. So you have your concrete plan, your notes app is filled out, and you've got your $60 starter budget in your hand.
Now it's time to actually sit down at a machine.
But not just any machine. This is what the source calls rung 1, the warm-up. And you essentially have to embrace the most boring machines on the casino floor.
Yes, you have to seek out simple, low volatility machines.
So no progressives, no crazy 12 bonus features, just classic 3-reel or maybe simple 5-reel games at the quarter or 50-cent level.
Games like Triple Diamond, Red, White, and Blue, or Blazing Sevens.
Why does the source mandate these specific boring machines for rung 1?
It comes down to hit frequency. Simple machines have higher hit frequencies with much smaller wins. You might just win your initial bet back, or maybe double it on a spin.
Oh, I see. And those frequent small returns are really the only way to keep a small bankroll alive, right?
Precisely. A highly volatile machine will just drain that $60 in 3 minutes. You need those small returns to survive long enough to climb the ladder.
Okay, so you sit down, you play slow. One spin, watch, breathe. And the goal is strictly to double that $60 buy-in to $120.
That's the only goal on rung 1. And the second you hit 120, you instantly cash out.
Instantly.
Yeah.
Just one more spin.
None. You pocket your $60 starter money, and you keep the $60 profit in your hand as your new climb bank.
Which is an amazing psychological shift because now you are playing entirely with house money.
Exactly. You are completely risk-free at that point.
But we have to talk about the failure condition for rung 1, the hard stop.
This is where the extreme discipline really comes in.
Right, because if you're playing that initial 60 and you drop down to exactly $20 remaining and you haven't hit the target, you have to stop.
Session over on that machine.
It's like hitting a checkpoint in a video game, you know? You save your progress so you don't slide all the way back down to 0.
That's a perfect analogy. But the source warns that right at that $20 mark is where the urge to chase your loss is the absolute strongest.
People probably just want to dip into their $40 reserve to get back to 60.
All the time.
Yeah.
But chasing that $60 loss is exactly how people end up losing $300. You have to accept The math just wasn't in your favor and
Yeah.
walk away.
Okay, so let's assume the strategy works. We survived rung 1, we pocketed our initial investment, and we were holding $60 of house money.
Now we escalate. This is rung 2, or what the source calls the first lift.
So the player takes their climb bank and moves up one denominator, right, to the $1 or $2 machines.
Yes, you are stepping up the risk, but only with profit.
Now, here is a highly specific rule from the text I noticed. The source is absolutely adamant that you must play single credit machines here.
Yes, not multi-line video slots.
Right, where a $1 bet times 40 lines just completely wipes you out. Why is that single credit rule so important?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it's about avoiding a trap called losses disguised as win.
Oh, I've heard of this.
Yeah, when you bet $1 across 40 lines and you hit a combination that pays back 40 cents, the machine still flashes and celebrates like you won.
But you actually just lost 60 cents.
Exactly. Single credit machines eliminate that psychological trick. You either win or you lose. And fundamentally, single credits reduce volatility and slow the player down.
Okay, so on rung 2, you are playing single credits, and the goal is to turn that 60 into maybe 120 or 140.
Right, and once you hit it, you cash out again, pocket $60 to $80, and keep the rest for rung 3.
And the rule is you never, ever chase on rung 2.
Never, because you're playing with locked-in profits. If you lose, you still walk away even for the day.
So if you survive that, you reach rung 3, the push, which is pretty rare territory, honestly.
It really is. You're moving to the high-limit areas now. $2, $5, maybe even $10 machines.
Taking that remaining house money in there, but the volatility has to be massive.
It's incredibly massive. The source warns that at this level, you can blow through $60 in just 12 spins.
Wow, just gone in a minute.
Easily. The goal here is to reach a total session value of $300 or more.
But we should talk about the hand pay reality check the source brings up here.
Yes, the source is very impartial about this. Even at high denominations, hand pays those massive jackpots that lock up the machine and require an attendant. They are incredibly rare.
So you shouldn't be hunting for a hand pay.
Exactly. The source states clearly, your goal is not a hand pay. Your goal is to have fun, protect your bankroll, and leave with more than you came with.
Right, just doubling or tripling your initial budget is a huge win.
It really is. If you catch a big hit and reach your session goal, you cash out and you leave.
So what does this all mean? When we look at this whole guide, the ladder strategy isn't some magic trick to beat the house edge, is it?
Not at all. The casino still has the mathematical advantage.
Right. It's really a system of extreme emotional regulation and bankroll management. It turns this chaotic emotional gamble into a highly structured staircase.
And that's why the source ends with some really vital warnings about responsible gambling.
Yeah, we have to mention those.
Gambling involves real risk. It is designed for entertainment, absolutely not as an income source. And the author is clear that anyone struggling should utilize resources like the National Council on Problem Gambling's 24-hour helpline.
Because if you can't stick to the rules, the system falls apart.
Completely falls apart.
Which leaves me with a final thought for you to mull over. We've talked about implementing these strict budgets, physically splitting cash into envelopes, and doing literal paperwork in your phone to set unemotional walkaway points.
All that cognitive offloading.
Exactly. And if doing all of that effectively removes the reckless, thrill of the casino, does this strategy actually gamify self-control rather than the slot machine itself?
That's a fascinating way to look at it.
Right. Are the true winners just the people who realize the real game isn't the spinning reels at all, but actually playing your own psychology?
Mastering your own mind in a place designed to make you lose your mind.
Exactly. Something to think about next time you see those flashing lights.